we should be live. Hello, everyone. So, welcome to another episode of LeetCode Grinding Google Interview Prep. So, this one should actually be going to YouTube. Put on a little bit of background music there. And we are. So, hopefully this one will actually be archived on YouTube. I'll post the link on my Reddit post in our Watch People Code a little later. So what we're going to be going over today is we're just going to be doing a couple more questions. So we're going to start off with this question. Longest substring without repeating characters. So given a string, find the longest substring without repeating characters. Let me get my whiteboard set up here, and we'll take a look at how we're going to solve this one. Switch over to the whiteboard here. See if I can get it in frame better. So let's take a look at their first string. A, B, C, A, B, C, B, B. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking over, just going to turn the music down slightly, is we're going to be looking at a sliding window approach. So we're going to start at A. So then we're going to look at A. So with one character, we know we don't have a repeat. So then we're going to look at the next character. Yep, we don't have that one currently in here. So then we're going to move on to the third character. So we've got A, B, and C. Still no repeat character. When we move on to the fourth, we're going to find that we have a repeat character. So then at that point, we're going to stop. We're going to keep this record as amount of 3. Then we're going to move on to the next window. So we're going to start again with A. We're then going to move on to B. Find that we still don't have a repeat. Move on to C. Still don't have a repeat. We're going to have a max of 3. Then we're going to move back to B. We're only going to find 1, and then we're going to move to the other B and still only find 1. So we're only going to loop over this list once, because we're going to be starting on the next character from the first repeat character. So let's take a look at the solution. Back to the desktop. So we're going to need a couple of variables. I'm just going to remove what they've got there. We're going to need a couple of variables. First, we're going to need a character set, which is a set of string. It's going to be a mutable set. Equals mutable set of, it's going to be an empty set. We're also going to keep a record of the longest length you've seen so far. We're also going to keep a start string index. Index equals 0. So we're going to for character in an S. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do charset.contains. Just going to look up the set documentation. Collection should be fine because I'm fairly sure indices add all. I'm just looking for contains. Contains, perfect. So we do see it contains char. So if it is, what we're going to do is we're going to get the length of the current set, which is it size or length? We want to look at properties. Fold for each group. Index of last map. Shuffled, single, size, sorted, subtract some. Probably on a superclass. Suitable collection. Size. Then we're going to say max length equals, so if length is greater than max length string length, then we're going to clear our char set by just assigning it a new one. So we don't actually even need string, we shouldn't even need those ones. So if it is not in our set, what we're going to do is we're going to add it. And at the end of our for loop, the only thing we need to return is max length. So let's see how badly we coded this. Mustable set is not correct. That is not how you spell string. So let me turn up my mic a bit. Is this better for you guys? Let me know if this volume perfect. Thank you, leetcode. Hope you're all doing well. Wow, 14 people watching right now. So, line 6. Why doesn't it let error? I'm doing pretty good. I had a long day at work today, but that's the way it goes. So it's probably going to want char. Line 13, that P should not be there. Answer is currently pending. And we got the expected input of 3. So let's add in the other cases it gave us. And just see what we get. Yeah, I'm kind of bad for fat fingering sometimes. That's one of the reasons why I love IDE so much. So interesting. So our test cases, thank you, leetcode. So our test cases will fail on the third case. So let's take a look at, let's put some debugging statements in here and see why. So if we are in string, let's print char set So let's run through our code manually. So we see P. So it should go is in string false. It should add it. So next thing it should do is, so next character should be W. Is it in the string? No, it should add it. If it's not in, so then we have the W. So is in string. So we should have our char set.size, which should be 2 at this point. If it's greater than 0, should be 2. So Rummy AI, so I do actually have a Google interview coming up. My phone interview is actually a week tomorrow. So I'm running through the course set to see if I can actually, to try and get myself in. I come from a non-traditional background. My degree was actually in physics. So a lot of data structures and algorithms I've only ever taught myself. So I'm making sure I do a thorough review before. And the reason why I'm streaming these is to make sure I can still talk out my solutions. I'm hoping that you guys find something of value here as well, that you can learn along with me and see some of these questions, see how I like to solve some of these questions. I'm not promising that I'm always going to be correct, but hey, at least I hope I'm entertaining. So anyway, so we see the second W, and we should reset. So then K, so then we should see the K. So what I'm going to do, Someone already knows the answer, but don't give it to me. So I'm going to print out the char. I'm going, let's do print line. And then we're going to print out and then we're going to print out is in string. What I should also do is get rid of these two test cases, because I'm not actually interested in those. Ah, I see what's going on here. At the end here, I don't do the check. So if char set.size greater than max length, max length is char set. So what I didn't do here is at the end is when I have the maximum, and I don't check if I have if the last section is the maximum. So I'm just adding it onto the end here. What you can also do is max length cannot be invoked as a function. Max length equals charset.size. What you can also do is there's math.max. You can just say, instead of doing this check, you can just say equals max charset.size comma max length. I'm just doing this because I don't feel like importing the package at the moment, but that is another option. So we're just going to remove the print line and we're going to submit our solution and see what happens. Wrong answer. AAB. Yeah. So let's put our print statements back and we'll do AAB. I need to run this whole check again. Do I? So what I'm checking right now is if I'm actually clearing out the set after here. Interesting. So what I'm not doing is I'm moving on to the next window immediately when on the duplicate it can actually be one. So what I'm going to do is add char. So I shouldn't be replacing it with an empty set. I should be replacing it with the set that contains the current character. Because what's happening here is AAB is I hit A, I then hit the second A, and I discard it, and I don't actually add AB. So let's give this another go. And I get 2. So we're going to cut out thing again, and we're going to submit the solution and see what happens this time. DVDF. Add in our print statements. Wow, 19 people watching. Pressure's on, and I'm failing. Oh, that should be up a line. Piece of advice. What is the longest substring? So the longest substring is VDF. And why isn't it being able to count that? And that's the million-dollar question. So looking at my output, interesting. I see what you're getting at. So my case is only... So I'm going to pull out the whiteboard again and take a look at this case and see if we can't come up with a slightly better solution. So what we need to do... let's line up the whiteboard again. I apologize, this is going to be slightly crooked, but this is slightly easier for me to write. So, D, V, D, F. So right now my roaming window assumes that the moment I see a duplicate, I've already come across, it's the longest it could possibly be. But what's actually the longest here is VDF. Interesting. So this throws a bit of my solution into the width, into the shredder a little bit. So I still believe we can solve this with one loop through. It's just our space complexity might get a little hot. So we're still going to be using sets. So we're still going to use sets because sets don't allow us to insert duplicates. But we can't just throw everything into a set because otherwise we're going to include it's going to be DVF, not VDF, that we want. So, as we're going through this, we're looking at D. We're going to have So as we're looping through, you can see the engine's turning. The hamster in the head is not as prime as it should be right now. I had a long day debugging a piece of code as well, so unfortunately I'm a little bit spent for this. But we're going to power through it anyways because that's what we got to do. Yeah, I would think 18 viewers is a bit of pressure. I'm hoping I'm not too boring. What I'm trying to do is not have too much dead air, um, or do ums too many times. So what I'm currently thinking is a solution for a set of sets, because what I want to have is for every possible set that I've seen, but then I'm looping through every set. Then I need to loop through every set again, and I think this solution should be solved in order of n. So let's look at this a slightly different way. Let's write some pseudocode and look at this slightly differently. So we're going to bring back our original two variables of the length of the start and the end of the string. So I'm going to go to just writing code here and just try and do this on the fly. Let's switch back to the desktop, clear the camera out of my way. At some point I need to come up with a better whiteboard solution other than just literally almost having the camera under my chin and moving the keyboard every time. So left index equals 0, far right index equals 1. So for this, we're going to do, are interviewers okay with writing code on the fly for the solution, or would they rather see a whiteboard solution than code? The answer to that one, I think, is actually going to depend on the interviewer. So my first phone interview is actually going to be doing a shared Google Doc. So coding on the fly is probably going to be there, and it's going to be a similar situation like this where I don't have syntax completion. During the in-person interview, I think it can depend on the interviewer. And you're absolutely right, they do test different skills. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a while loop. Right index is less than s.size minus 1. Why is my keyboard uneven? There, one of the feet on my keyboard collapsed. That's annoying. I think it did anyways. Trying to type on a rocking keyboard is just super painful. There we go. Well, the right index is less than 1. Yeah, so you can shotgun ideas with code with whiteboard. So with a whiteboard solution, what I would do is try and go through a couple cases by hand like that, and maybe for the next question I'll actually do that. Because the way I like to think about problems like these is how would I solve the problem in my head as a person looking at it, rather than how do I write the code for it. Because your brain tends to think of optimizations that aren't always intuitive with code. Because for example here, what you're doing is actually you're going through everything you're going through from left to right, and when you see a duplicate, you're actually shifting your left index over 1 and seeing, so for DVDF, so what you're doing is, okay, you see the second D, so you're moving the start of your string over to VDF rather than what I had previous. So that's what I'm trying to look at right now. So var is an index, so I need to make this 0. Well, so char equals s. Let's just look up the string documentation quickly, because char at is what I'm looking for. S dot char at right index. So var is in set. How do we clear the set each time? We'll worry about that in a second. Set equals char set dot contains char. We're going to rename that better because that's probably a reserved name. If is it in the set, we're going to move our right index by 1. Yeah, SciCode has a good point of the whiteboard solution is a good test if you how you approach problems. A big problem when it comes to coding interviews is a good coder can do needs a bit of a mix of both writing clean code and having good ways of logically approaching problems. And finding one that can do both is not an easy thing, and that's where we end up with leetcode like this of just a bunch of tricky problems with one tricky set that everyone kind of hates. If you insert a duplicate in a set, will it simply return a false and not insert, or will it crash? So what inserting a duplicate will never, I haven't seen an implementation that will crash. What some implementations do is insert will actually return a boolean of whether or not it was actually inserted. But a set will enforce a rule that everything is only once, and if you insert a duplicate, it'll either return a true or false of whether it was already found, or it'll just continue on its happily merry way. And that's actually something worth looking up of whether or not it will return. It looks like it's going to inherit its add function from collection. No, I want mutable set, not set. Is what I want to look at the add. So the add function returns a boolean. So it looks like Kotlin will actually tell you whether or not it was inserted. Most languages do that, but that's not a strict requirement. I'm going to keep it like this just for clarity of what I'm actually doing. If I wanted to write fewer lines of code, I could make this contains an insert. But anyway, so we move our right index of 1, and we continue. Sorry, if that's not if it's not in isn't set, we move our left index by 1. So we're going to remove I want to remove the duplicate, but the duplicate's not necessarily first character. Because we could have... Is that true? So what I'm wondering, what I'm going through is when I come with duplicate, is the duplicate always going to be at the start? If I have a VDF, I'm going to have ADV and I'm going to hit the duplicate, so no, that's not always true. I'm going to move our left index s dot string should have a find first, or the find function returns the first one. Find char. Let's just look up the Kotlin. Part of this is me getting used to the funny things in here. Length compare 2 equals plus TF8 associate AB capitalize chunk sequence BC DE filter find returns the first character. I don't want the character, I want the index. Turns. Let's look for index of. Index of returns the index of the first occurrence. So yeah, we don't want find, we want index of current char. +1. So we're moving it to the first occurrence. So in our case of ADVDF, we're moving our left index to where the V is. And then we need to remove anything between the old left s.substring left index new left for char in removed char set dot remove removed char. That's what we're going to call that. And then we're going to set left index equals new left. What the first thing we need to do is length is less than left index minus right index max length not used to typing on this keyboard. I'm used to my work keyboard. Max length equals left index minus right index. And then our else case should just be char set dot add current char. So let's think about this again. So if it's in the set, we're going to take a look at our current string length, see if it's currently the maximum. If it is, we're going to keep track that this has been the max length. Then what we're going to do is we're going to remove our left index over to where we currently are, over to 1 plus the first instance of our duplicate. And each time we need to move our right index because we don't want infinite loops. Then we're going to remove every character between where we just moved from to where we just moved to. And then we're going to move our left index there. Theoretically, this should work. Line 8 size dot length. Lists have size, strings have lengths. Char at. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Apparently char at is an old Java thing of mine. So let's see, by A, B, chunked, code point at, coerce in, concat contained, count. Let's look at these ones farther down. Associate with, byte input stream, point at, contains equals count. Is it seriously just dot get? Kotlin compare char sequence. Yeah, it's just dot get. Oh, Microsoft. Why do you think I need to see you? Max length is misspelt on line 13. Gur. So I'm just going to print out everything in the set right now for... that's... AAB, ABD, ABDB. ABDV. Once again, I'm not checking if... Apparently it has a sensible... Right index minus left index. Okay, so I had two things wrong. I was removing the duplicate character that we're starting at, and I was also making the mistake of right minus left versus left minus right. So let's submit our solution and see what's going on this time. A, B, C, A, B, C, B, B. A, B, C. No. index, right index. I've got too many quotes on this. Line 19. Left index, new left. Let's move this line up one so we can see what we're actually printing. Index out of range, -4. Because it should be able to substring 6 and 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ah. So it's finding this P again, but it's returning this. So it's actually trying to do from here to here. So rather than, so let's just move left. Left index plus equals 1. Char set, so for char in s dot sub string left index or character in left index right index char set dot add character char set equals mutable set of eight, 7. Move this up here. Is it inclusive or exclusive? No, that's not what I wanted. Range and range. And inclusive. No, that's fine. that was supposed to be add. I'm sorry, guys. This is not ending well. This should be done at the end, right before I move the right index. No, that wasn't the problem. If someone sees my mistake, please let me know. Let's try doing this a different way. If max length less than char set dot size max length char set dot size we're going to do that here. Alright, let's give this a try. Oh, of course they do that. S dot strip S dot replace S dot replace. Let's So that was just a case of blank string, which is mildly frustrating. Oh, white space is a valid character. I disagree with that. So I'm just going to write length equals 1, turn 1. Alright, well, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to call this one here, guys. I am kind of beat, as you can probably tell. I'm going to pick this up where I left off tomorrow. I might start a little bit earlier. I'll put up another post in our Watch People code of when I'm going to start, and I'm going to try and spend most of my evening going through questions rather than just like the last hour of me as a functional human. Thank you guys for watching, and I guess I will see you guys tomorrow. Sorry I wasn't able to figure this one out. I'm probably going to look up a solution for this one. I'll see you guys later. Bye.